Hi everyone, today we have with us the Associate Editor of EconomicTimes.com, Pran with us. Hi Pran.
Hi, Shruti.
So today we will discuss about the developments in this week on the about the startup ecosystem. So there has been this great news about Snapdeal and acquisition of Snapdeal by Flipkart. What do you think is going to happen? Is the deal going to happen?
So, we have been hearing about Snapdeal and Flipkart for some months now. What is certain is the deal is almost done. We should be hearing about it uh, as as early as maybe next week, and this will be significant for actually the investors of Snapdeal because this will finally mean they get an exit from a company they have been trying to exit for a year now. And for Snapdeal, it gives them just a space to move out of the battle that e-commerce sees. And we've already seen Snapdeal selling its crown jewel free charge to Axis yesterday. Axis Bank acquired it for 385 crore odds in all cash deal. But what is worth noting here is that Snapdeal acquired free charge for around 2,500 crore in 2015 and has finally sold it for 385 crore. So a lot happened this week, and we can expect the same going into next week as well.
That brings me to the next question about exaggerated valuations, right? I mean, it clearly happened in this case. What do you think is the takeaway that other startups like they can learn from?
What happened to Snapdeal today, in my view, did not start in the last 6 months or 3 months or whatever the case might be. It started way back in 2015 when a lot of money started pouring into India and valuations went through the roof. I remember talking to a lot of VCs who found it absurd that in a seed round, companies were raising $1 million. It was unheard of before. Angel investors, VCs, PEs, even hedge funds poured in money into India and valuations went through the roof. Snapdeal raised a lot of money around that time, and clearly the emphasis that time was on grabbing maximum market. It did not matter if it came with profitability, if there were losses. It was just about maximum market share. And for investors who had missed on investing in China, India was the next big opportunity. All this meant there was a lot of euphoria, and entrepreneurs, companies could do no wrong. But it's surprising how things change. And by 2016, the mood had changed completely. Suddenly, investors, stakeholders talked about profitability. They wanted profits. And in a sector like e-commerce, that was just not happening in India. For Snapdeal, the investors very quickly realized that with it becoming a three-way race between Flipkart, Amazon, and Snapdeal, and Amazon by that time had already grabbed the second spot, that for Snapdeal it was becoming increasingly difficult. For e-commerce companies, cash is very important. And once Snapdeal could not raise another round, it meant there was no way out for Snapdeal. And investors like SoftBank started pushing back and saying that, nothing more, we'll not pump in more money. And in fact, SoftBank then became one of the lead, negotiator, if I may put it, who started the talks for a stake sale to Flipkart. Uh, and this is where we are. But what is interesting now is where we go from here. So Flipkart already has Myntra, Jabong, eBay in its fold. It'll get Snapdeal. So with Snapdeal, there is nothing new when it comes to products or markets that Flipkart will get. But what it will get is an investor like SoftBank. And now, when the fight is between Flipkart and Amazon, it will have the deep pockets of SoftBank to back it. And for Amazon, it is not going to be easy. So we've just seen Amazon's number come in, and net income has come in at 197 million compared to 857 million last year. International losses, and this is significant, has grown fivefold to $724 million compared to $135 million in quarter two of last year. So a huge part of this is Indian losses. And so going ahead, we will see an interesting fight between Flipkart and Amazon. And yeah, probably in a year or two, it will be winner takes all market.
Another interesting development this week that happened was the announcement by our Minister of Road, Transport and Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, that there will be no driverless cars in India. What is your take on that?
This is an interesting comment from Minister Gadkari that driverless cars which take away jobs would not be permitted in India. It makes sense. I mean, we are in the midst of a lot of upheaval when it comes to jobs. We are not creating the kind of jobs that we would want to, and we're already seeing the kind of impact automation has on jobs in the IT sector. We had a lot of layoffs, and there's a lot of pain that automation and technology has brought to the IT sector and people who work in that sector. The flip side of that is that how long can we resist technology? And I think that is where we'll need to have a greater debate as to what is good for us. So I think somewhere down the line, we will also need to have a debate on artificial intelligence, autonomous cars in this case. And I think there's a very interesting video that's there in World Economic Forum of Davos had this session this year where Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, was a part of a session. And he talked about how surprised he was at AI doing so well. And AI had caught him by surprise. And he talked about how Google has this research program called Google Brain and how it is an important part of everything that they do. So he talks about, how it's a natural progression from the industrial revolution to now, and the time has come for AI. And he talks about how it can be, when it comes to jobs, education, and skills, how in fact technology might now help us get away from our mundane jobs and maybe focus on something creative. We are still very much in the nascent stages of exploring the true impact of AI, automation, and technology. But I think that is one discussion that we need to have very soon.
Okay, thanks so much, Pran, for being with us, and we'll talk to you again soon next week.
Great. Thank you, Shruti, for having me.
And thanks to you for being with us. Watch the space for more developments next week. Thank you.